Welcome to Think About It with your host, Jaden Miller.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on Think About It with Jaden Miller. Glad you guys came back with me again. Today is Sunday, and as you know, I drop new episodes every Sunday and Wednesday. It's a beautiful afternoon here in the beautiful Phoenix area. Guys, I want you to please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. I'm on all of them: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, Castbox, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. So whichever one is your favorite, please join in. I try to have enlightening and wonderful new topics every week. My last one's dealt with U.S. president since 1960. Who did you feel was the most accomplished? And so I gave you my number one person. I talked to you all about my beautiful wedding in an episode prior to that. My beautiful wife is here in the studio with me, the wonderful Tanisha. So today I'm going to talk about something a little different, something a little bit more entertaining. And again, it's one of those top lists, you know. I'm going to talk about Denzel Washington and Denzel Washington movies. I'm a big fan of Denzel Washington, have been watching him forever. He is just the quintessential American actor. I mean, he's versatile, and, you know, he has all of this grace and dignity about himself. And I think all those things make him a great actor. And so I'm going to talk to you about my top 10, okay, movies from Denzel Washington, all right? But who is Denzel Washington? Well, he was born in December of 1954. As I've mentioned, he's an American actor, director, producer. He's known for his performances on the screen and stage. Denzel has been described as an actor who reconfigured the concept of classic movie stardom, okay? Associating with characters defined by their grace, dignity, humanity, and inner strength. He seems to like certain directors, okay? So he definitely has worked with Spike Lee, all right? He's worked several times with Tony Scott. He won an Academy Award under the direction of Antoine Fisher, okay? And speaking of that, he's earned 2 Academy Awards, 3 Golden Globe Awards, a Screen Actors Guild Award, a Tony Award, all right? In 2016, he received the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2020, the New York Times ranked him as the greatest actor of the 21st century. Now, that says a whole lot about a man, okay, who can deliver like Denzel Washington has. Well, he was born in Mount Vernon, New York. His mother was a beauty parlor owner and operator born in Georgia and partly raised in Harlem, New York. His father was a native of Buckingham County, Virginia, an ordained Pentecostal minister and an employee of the New York City Water Department, who also worked at a local S. Klein department store. Denzel Washington attended Pennington Grimes Elementary School in Mount Vernon until 1968. When he was 14, unfortunately, his parents divorced and his mother sent him to the private preparatory school, Oakland Military Academy in New Windsor, New York. Denzel Washington later said that decision changed his life because he wouldn't have survived in the direction he was going. The guys he was hanging out with at the time, his running buddies, have now done maybe about 40 years combined in the penitentiary. So, you know, it's just those subtle changes in your life can make a big difference, all right? He said that those guys were nice, but the streets got to them, all right? After he left the Oakland Military Academy, he attended Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Florida. He was interested in attending Texas Tech University. He mentions that he grew up in the boys club in Mount Vernon, and they were Red Raiders. So when he was in high school, he wanted to go to Texas Tech in Lubbock just because they were called the Red Raiders and their uniforms looked like ours. All right. He earned a Bachelor of Arts in Drama and Journalism from Fordham University in 1977. At Fordham, he also played collegiate basketball as a guard. All right. After a period of indecision on which major to study and taking a semester off, Denzel Washington worked as a creative arts director of the overnight summer camp at Camp Sloan YMCA in Lakeville, Connecticut. He participated in a staff talent show for the campers, and a colleague suggested he try acting. Returning to Fordham that fall with a renewed purpose, Denzel Washington enrolled at the Lincoln Center campus to study acting, where he was given the title roles in Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones and Shakespeare's Othello. He then attended graduate school at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco, California, where he stayed for 1 year before returning to New York to begin a professional acting career. Well, think about it for a minute. Isn't it something that, while he was creative arts director at an overnight summer camp, someone suggested that he try acting. Wow. I mean, now what if he wouldn't have gone? Would we have been privy to the wonderful characters in acting that he's shown us over a number of years? All right. So whoever that person that was that suggested that he try acting, thank you. All right. So, of course, Denzel Washington started his acting on television. All right. He was in this television show called Saint Elsewhere for a number of years. But of course, he really hit, acting really, really hard when he started one movie that I'm not going to mention yet because it's on my top 10 list. But this is the first time I actually really saw him acting in a movie, and I was really stunned, by the character and his acting ability. And I've been a fan of his ever since, all right? So I've really been watching Denzel Washington since he really started making a difference in acting in the early to mid 1980s, all right? So now, over the years, he's acted in a number of different movies, all right? There are some that I'm going to talk a little bit about, or I may share with you and as I get ready to get to my top 10. But I want you to tell me, or you can share, in the comment section, what your top 10 Denzel Washington movies are, or you can agree with me, or you can disagree with me if you like. So over the years, he's acted in a lot of movies. All right. So there's Crimson Tide. Okay. For those of you that may remember, that was a movie from back in 1995. All right. He was on a U.S. nuclear missile sub. All right. And there was a mutiny that was going to happen. All right. And Denzel Washington's, there was this captain, that he had to prevent, all right, from launching missiles. All right. So, he's under the command of someone and has to circumvent this. It's a really, really great drama, a really, really great movie, drama, thriller. All right. It also starred Gene Hackman. So, it was a really, really great movie. Matt Craven was in it. There's this character actor named George Dzunza. Really, really good movie. All right. I remember watching this one movie based upon South African black activist Stephen Biko. All right. Really, really great movie as well. All right. Starring Kevin Kline. Denzel Washington, of course, played the role of Stephen Biko. And it's one of those Denzel movies that every person should see. All right. It tells the story of Stephen Biko's struggles against apartheid and his white friend, played by, as I mentioned, Kevin Kline. It's a movie about struggle, justice, tolerance, nonviolence, and, in my opinion, one of the great performances by Denzel Washington. Now, even though I feel it's a great performance, it's not in my top 10. All right. Now, it's close, but it's not there. But that doesn't take away from the beautiful acting that Denzel Washington portrayed of Stephen Biko in that movie. John Q, a movie from 2002, was also a really great movie. All right. His name was John Quincy Archibald in the movie. And what he does is he takes a hospital emergency room hostage when his insurance won't cover his son's heart transplant. All right. So as you'll see as I go through some of Denzel Washington's movies, you'll see that he can portray any type of character. I mean, he can be a military officer, all right? He can be an attorney. He can be a father that's looking out for his son, all right? He can be in a Western, all right? He can be a soldier. He can be a soldier from the Civil War, all right? So he can be a boxer. All right? I mean, so many different portrayals from Denzel Washington. But this movie, John Q, was great as well, all right? It was a really touching movie. It deals, of course, with the harsh realities of the American healthcare system. Denzel Washington's character is denied treatment. I'm sorry, his son is denied treatment for a heart operation, and it forces him to go to extreme measures. All right, so Denzel is brilliant in this role and helps raise some important moral questions concerning healthcare, empathy, and justice. All right, the question that was really asked in that movie is, what would you do if you were in his shoes? All right, you have a child, the insurance is not going to pay, you can't afford it, okay, but you need the doctors to operate. Do you take an emergency room hostage? Would you? All right. So a really brilliantly acted movie. I also liked Denzel Washington in this movie called Philadelphia. All right. That was a movie from 1993. All right. When a man with HIV is fired, and that man who was portraying the HIV a patient was Tom Hanks. Okay. So Tom Hanks is, again, really showing great skills as an actor as well. And it's really great to have both of them in this movie. I think this is the only time that they've been in a movie together, but excellent acting on behalf of both of these characters. All right. So the lead character is played by Tom Hanks. He falls ill with AIDS and seeks help from a lawyer to sue the firm in which he was fired from. Now, although Hanks is fantastic in this role, I'm not taking anything away from him. It is really Denzel whose acting makes this movie the great masterpiece that it is. All right. It's one of these movies that everyone should see, and also deals with the subject of homosexuality. All right. Again, another brilliantly acted movie. Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, one of my favorite. All right. Some other really great movies. Man on Fire. All right. Denzel Washington is a CIA operative, who swears vengeance on those who committed an unspeakable act against the family he was hired to protect. All right. And I mean, if you like a crime drama or a movie about vengeance, this is the movie to see. From back in 2004, Man on Fire, another great movie. And from just a year prior to that, 2003, I remember going to the movie theater and watching this movie called Out of Time. Out of Time was about a Florida police chief who must solve a vicious double homicide before he himself falls under suspicion. And it's a really great movie starring Denzel Washington, Sanaa Lathan, Eva Mendes, and Dean Cain. All right. If you really want a mystery or a thriller, this movie goes back and forth. I mean, Denzel Washington is a police chief, okay, in the movie, but he also commits a theft. But really a great movie. You got to see that. I liked Inside Man. Inside Man was from 2006. I love it when they team Denzel Washington with great actors, and of course with great directors. In Inside Man, the director is Spike Lee, who he's worked with many times, but he's also working with a great actress who I've come to love in many movies, and I've watched her as a child acting. That's Jodie Foster. Jodie Foster has won at least 2 Academy Awards. I know I think one was for Taxi Driver. I know she was in that movie. And then there was another movie that she was really great in as well, that she won an Academy Award for. And the movie escapes me right now, but another great actor. But my point is, I really like to see him team with them, because that just seems to make the movie so much greater when you have all of these great actors, showing all of their great talent. Remember the Titans was a good movie. He Got Game was a good movie. I liked him in The Manchurian Candidate, which was a remake. That was Denzel Washington. Meryl Streep was in that. Meryl Streep is another outstanding actress, okay? And Denzel Washington is teamed with her. I liked him in in Deja Vu. All right, he's teamed up with Paula Patton, who I understand has a new show out on BET. And then there's Jim Caviezel and Val Kilmer. Also a really, really greatly acted movie. In Deja Vu, you have a ferry is bombed in New Orleans. An ATF agent joins a unique investigation using experimental surveillance technology to find the bomber, but soon finds himself being obsessed with one of the victims. Really, really, really good and well acted movie. There's this movie that, isn't mentioned very often, but was a really, really great movie as well. And it's Antoine Fisher. All right. This deals with someone that has a mental health issue. Okay. And if you will recall, I did a podcast or an episode not too long ago about anxiety and OCD and depression and that kind of thing. Well, in this movie, Antoine Fisher is a young Navy man. He is forced to see a psychiatrist after a violent outburst against a fellow crewman. During the course of treatment, a painful past is revealed and a new hope begins. Really, really great movie. All right. And as I stated, Denzel Washington can do a number of, in this movie, he's a psychiatrist. All right. There's this movie called Courage Under Fire. All right. A U.S. Army officer, despondent about a deadly mistake he made, investigates a female chopper commander's worthiness for the Medal of Honor. All right. That stars Denzel Washington, Meg Ryan, Lou Diamond Phillips. Really, really great movie. All right. And again, Denzel, when he's partnering with these different people, it just seems to make the movie so much better. Now, here's a movie that many people probably have not seen. It's from back in 1990, but it's about a jazz trumpeteer. This movie was written and directed by Spike Lee, all right, and it starred Spike Lee, Wesley Snipes, Giancarlo Esposito. Really, really entertaining movie. Really, really great movie. In this movie, jazz trumpeter Bleak Gilliam, who represents the character of Denzel Washington, makes questionable decisions in his professional and romantic lives. All right, it's a drama. It's got really great music. It's got really great romance, and again, Denzel Washington at his finest. All right. And it can go on and on. There's The Pelican Brief, there's Devil in a Blue Dress, there's The Bone Collector, The Siege, The Preacher's Wife. More recently, we have Fences, which he starred with Viola Davis, who is another outstanding actress. There's The Taking of Pelham 123, which was another good movie that starred him and John Travolta. All right. In 2007, there was The Great Debaters that starred Denzel and Forrest Whitaker, Kimberly Elise and Nate Parker. Really, really great movie. There's a movie called Two Guns that teamed him with Mark Wahlberg and Paula Patton again. So, throughout the course of his career, Denzel Washington has starred in a number of really great movies. And, there's some other ones that, maybe, in my opinion, not the best, okay? But that doesn't diminish his acting abilities. Maybe the movie wasn't great, okay? But Denzel Washington was. There's Ricochet. That was a really, really great movie. There's Heart Condition, The Mighty Quinn, For Queen and Country, Carbon Copy. So a number of really, really great movies from Denzel Washington. All right. So what I want to do is I want to tell you what my top 10 Denzel Washington movies are. All right. Now, again, it does not take away from any of the other movies. All right. And it certainly doesn't take away from his performances. Just because I have my own personal ranking of Denzel Washington movies. But I've got, if I go to my list, all right, and I'm just going to do 10. I've got to start off first with Malcolm X. All right, Malcolm X was from back in 1992. Once again, directed by Spike Lee. Spike Lee acted in the movie as well. but this is a biographical epic of the controversial and influential Black nationalist leader, Malcolm X, okay? From his early life and career as a small-time gangster to his ministry as a member of the Nation of Islam. All right, so let me talk about this for a minute. So in acting, we talk about versatility, all right? So, I mean, in this movie, he's a small-time gangster, all right? And then he ends up in prison, all right? While in prison, and again, if you know the story of Malcolm X, once he goes to prison, he has this conversion, all right? He becomes this really, really intelligent person. He does so much reading because he's spending time in prison. There's not a whole lot else to do, but he gets these books. He begins reading. He gets acquainted with the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, who is at the time the leader of the Nation of Islam. And then once he gets out of prison, he turns his life around, all right? He stops eating certain things. He stops drinking certain things. He doesn't involve himself in drug activity and all of the other negative things that he was doing. And it's a really, really great story of redemption, okay? Of course, it ends just like Malcolm X's life in reality ended, with his death. But this movie had such a tremendous impact on me. All right. And so I've got to put Malcolm X as my number one movie. All right. Malcolm X. All right. So now this one may shock you because, this one is a little bit more recent than, of course, Malcolm X. Malcolm X was in 1992. But I really enjoyed watching Denzel Washington in the movie, which is going to be my number two, American Gangster from 2007. American Gangster. All right. He stars with Russell Crowe, another great actor. And I think when Denzel Washington is deciding on these scripts, one of the things that he looks at is who am I going to be working with? Okay. Who is it that I can make shine and who can make me shine? All right. And Russell Crowe is a great actor. There's another actor, and I'm going to mess up his name, so forgive me if I do, but it's Chiwetel Ejiofor. I believe that's right. A really, really great actor. He was in a really good movie that I'm trying to remember the name of it, and maybe I'll come up with it a little bit later, but a really, really great movie that he was actually, I'm going to tell you what it is right now because it's on my mind, so let me tell you what it is. He was in 12 Years a Slave, all right? And Amistad. That's what I was trying to think of. So that's Chiwetel Ejiofor. All right, really great actor that was in that movie, American Gangster. But what it is, it's about a New York City cop played by Russell Crowe, who is charged with bringing down Harlem drug lord Frank Lucas. That's the character that Denzel Washington is playing, whose real life inspired this partly biographical film. All right, but it's really great to see Denzel Washington in the role of a gangster. I mean, a real true gangster, all right? Who, for a long period of time, Frank Lucas found a way to get drugs into the United States from Vietnam, okay? And became extremely wealthy, all right? And one of the only reasons why he was found out, if you watch the movie, is because his wife brought him this really expensive fur coat. And he always wanted to fly under the radar, all right? But when he was seen wearing this fur coat, that changed everything for him, and the police, law enforcement agencies started to watch him more. So he was really upset about getting that fur coat too. But really, really great movie showing the versatility of Denzel Washington as an American gangster, as a big time drug dealer. All right. Okay, so that would be my number two. Now, I really, really love this movie because it does an accurate portrayal of a crooked cop in Los Angeles. All right. The name of this movie from 2001 is Training Day. Now, for those of you that know me, I used to teach college. All right. And I used to teach criminal justice courses. And during that time, I would use this movie as an example of how some cops can start off good and then be crooked, okay? But then there may be another cop working with this person, all right? And they have these ethical dilemmas that they had to deal with. And so in my classes, I would teach ethics and how would you handle certain situations, all right? So in this movie, Training Day, Denzel Washington is teamed with other really, really great actors, all right? That would be Ethan Hawke, that would be Scott Glenn, all right? The director is Antoine Fuqua, all right? And Ethan Hawke is a rookie cop who spends his first day as a Los Angeles narcotics officer with a rogue detective who isn't what he appears to be. If you have never seen Training Day, you have got to watch it. It's on Netflix, all right? I just checked it the other day, all right? It is there. Go watch that movie. That movie will change your life, all right? Really, really a lot of excitement, a lot of thrills, and the ending is just phenomenal, all right? So I'm going to say my number 3 is Training Day with Denzel Washington, all right? As we come closer into time, I remember watching this movie with Denzel Washington. At first, I was wondering, whether or not I would like it. And again, as I talk about the versatility of this actor, he now is an airline pilot, all right? The movie is called Flight. It's from 2012. And an airline pilot, played by Denzel Washington, saves almost all his passengers on his malfunctioning airliner, which eventually crashed. But an investigation into the accident reveals something troubling. All right. The director is Robert Zemeckis. All right. Really great actor. One of the stars in this movie is Don Cheadle. Okay. Another great actor. Nadine Velasquez is in this movie as well. All right. And just to give you a little hint, what it is they find that Denzel Washington, has been drinking and using drugs. All right. During the flight, on the day of the flight, all right? Now, while he does save most of the passengers, the way that he did was very, very controversial, which caused an investigation into the accident. But he tried to cover it up and do some stuff that was not above board. But a really, really great movie. And at the very end, he takes responsibility for what he did. But just an outstanding movie, all right? So, on my number 4 list of top 10 movies for Denzel Washington, we've got Flight. All right, I'm moving along here. All right, now I'm going to switch up a little bit. He plays these different characters, but I also really love Westerns. All right, and this is one of the great Westerns that I've seen, and certainly having Denzel Washington act in it was really, really amazing. He's reteamed with Ethan Hawke, who was in the movie Training Day. And in this movie, 7 gunmen from a variety of backgrounds are brought together by a vengeful young widow to protect her town from the private army of a destructive industrialist. Who is the director? Once again, we've got Antoine Fuqua teaming up with Denzel Washington. And as I mentioned, Denzel is back with Ethan Hawke and with Chris Pratt. Just a wonderfully acted movie. Some of the other stars in it are people that you may know, you may not know. There's Peter Sarsgaard. There's Vincent D'Onofrio. If you ever watched the Law and Order TV series, he was in that. But just a host of really, really great actors in this movie as well. Very entertaining. And again, that one would be my number 5 for Denzel Washington. Very, very well acted, very, very well directed. All right, next for me would be number 6, and that is The Equalizer. The Equalizer from 2014. Now, again, if you know anything about me, I love an underdog, all right? But I also love it when someone is willing to look out for the little man, all right, or the little woman, okay, or the downtrodden. In this movie, a man who believes he has put his mysterious past behind him cannot stand idly by when he meets a young girl under the control of ultra-violent Russian gangsters, all right? Again, who is the director? Who is working with Denzel Washington in this movie? It is Antoine Fuqua, okay? So again, I think one of the reasons why Denzel is so great is he's very choosy on who he wants to work with. All right. So, if you know someone is great, they direct you well, you can respond to them very well, you should continue to work with that person. And that seems to be what he does. All right. He teams again with great actors and actresses. Chloe Grace Moretz is in this movie with him. And she's the young girl who's been terrorized by these Russian gangsters. Another man that's in this movie you probably have heard of is Bill Pullman, another great actor. And then there's some actors from other countries that are involved in this movie too. But really, really great, The Equalizer. He's a former CIA agent, all right? He's now retired. His life was, really something as a CIA agent. Of course, he had to kill people. And now he lives a very, very simple life, all right? But he cannot stand by, okay, and allow this young lady to be terrorized by these gangsters. And so another really, really great movie by Denzel Washington. And my number 6, that again is The Equalizer from 2014, all right? All right, we're going back into the 1990s, and that would be Denzel Washington's portrayal of real life boxer Reuben Hurricane Carter. So the name of this movie is The Hurricane, again from 1990. And again, it's the story of Reuben Hurricane Carter, a boxer wrongly imprisoned for murder, and the people who aided in his fight to prove his innocence. All right, this is a true story. All right, there was a police detective that was out to get Reuben Carter. And he did, and framed him for a crime he did not commit. Some of the other actors in this movie would be Liev Schreiber, Debbie Morgan, Clancy Brown, David Paymer. Also some guys that I've really, really enjoyed watching, some actors I've really enjoyed watching in other movies throughout the years. This is a really heart-tugging movie, all right? It's a biography, it's a drama, it's about sports. But again, it shows how the criminal justice system in its state then really had a major impact on this man's life, all right? Imagine being framed for a crime as a teenager and then not being found innocent until you're an older adult. So his whole boxing career ended, okay, because of racism in the criminal justice system. So this is a movie that everyone should watch. Bring some tissue. This movie was directed by Norman Jewison. All right, so Denzel Washington switched up from this movie with Antoine Fuqua, some of those others, and this again is a really, really great movie. When I was, I'm getting ready to tell my age now, but when I was in college, I went to go see this one movie, and it was on a fluke. And I just so happened to be home for Thanksgiving break, all right, and was with some high school friends, and we went to the movies to go see this movie, all right. Now Denzel Washington was not the star of the movie, all right. He was one of the actors, so this is before he really became big. But this movie is still one of the best movies I think Denzel Washington has acted in. It is on my number 8 list from 1984. It is called A Soldier's Story. An African-American officer investigates a murder in a racially charged situation in World War II. This movie is directed by Norman Jewison. All right. Some of the stars are the late Adolph Caesar, Howard Rollins, and I'm going to name a few actors that you probably heard of throughout the years, all right, that also played in this movie. That would be David Alan Grier, all right, Patti LaBelle, Robert Townsend was in this movie as well, and a few others. But this is a really, really well-acted movie. What seems to have happened is there's a sergeant, all right, that is killed, all right, and the suspects, they believe, are white. Okay, he's killed in this southern town. It's World War II. The military is still segregated at this time, and the sergeant is killed. Well, who killed him? They think that there are some townspeople that killed him. Well, eventually we find out that the person that really killed the sergeant, who would have been the late Adolf Caesar, was actually Denzel Washington's character. So really, really great acted movie, great, well acted movie. Again, maybe it's sentimental that it's on my top 10 list, but for me at number 8, it is A Soldier's Story. All right. And then I've got my last two. Number 9. All right. Number 9 would be the movie called Glory. All right. Glory. Denzel Washington plays the character of Private Tripp. Now, a ton of great actors in this movie. All right. I'm just going to name them for you. All right. The star of the movie is Matthew Broderick. All right. But of course, there's Denzel Washington. There's Carrie Elways. There's Morgan Freeman. I mean, you know, when you have Morgan Freeman in a movie, something must be right. Because, I mean, that guy is just fantastic. All right. You have Andre Brower, who's from Chicago. Love that guy. All right. There's a guy named Cliff D. Young and Alan North. Some really, really great actors in this movie. All right. Again, this is a movie about the Civil War. All right. So again, based upon a true story. All right. So Robert Gould Shaw, who's played by Matthew Broderick, leads the U.S. Civil War's first all-black volunteer company, fighting prejudice from both his own Union Army and the Confederates. All right. I'm telling you, you have got to watch this movie. Morgan Freeman is great. Matthew Broderick is great. But you have got to see Denzel Washington. I'm going to give you a little tip. In this movie, there's a segment, all right, where Denzel Washington is getting whipped, all right? And you'll see maybe a tear fall from his eye. And that is a heart-tugging scene, okay? One that you will never, ever forget. You have got to watch the movie Glory. That's number 9 on my top 10 Denzel Washington's movies list. All right, and then finally, I've mentioned this one as I began. That is the movie Philadelphia. All right, Philadelphia from 1993. That's Denzel Washington, as I mentioned, teamed with Tom Hanks. He plays the character of Joe Miller, and maybe that's why I like it, because hey, Jay Miller. All right, but again, as I mentioned, Tom Hanks is a man with HIV. He's fired by his law firm because of his condition. He decides to take them to court. There's only one lawyer that's available to him, and that is Denzel Washington. This one was directed by Jonathan Demme. Again, this shows from back in the time. This is 1993, and of course, there has been a lot of change from 1993 to 2021. But at the time, HIV and people being fired from their jobs because they appeared to have this disease or had this disease was a really, really big thing back then. All right. And so really, really great movie starring Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks. So that rounds out my top 10. So I've got Malcolm X, number 1, American Gangster, number 2, Training Day, number 3, Flight, number 4, The Magnificent Seven is 5, The Equalizer is number 6, number 7 is The Hurricane, number 8 is A Soldier's Story, number 9 is Glory, and number 10 is Philadelphia. Hey, let's support Denzel Washington. Why don't you think about it, all right? Go and watch some of his movies, you know, and again, let me know what your top 10 movies from Denzel Washington are, or just go and watch them. Check them out. They're very, very entertaining. They'll leave an imprint on you in terms of his acting forever. I'm a big fan of his, Denzel Washington. If you're watching my podcast, my video podcast, or listening to me, shout out to you, all right? So listen, guys, I want you to continue to please like, share, and subscribe on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and follow on your favorite podcast platform. This is Jaden Miller. Thanking you guys for joining me again. Don't forget I drop new episodes every Sunday and Wednesday. I'm on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Google Podcasts, all of those. All right. I'm here with the lovely, my beautiful wife, Tanisha D, sitting in the background. Tanisha Miller very soon. All right. We got to go through that whole change your name thing, you know. But again, thank you guys. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode this coming Wednesday. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Think About It with Jaden Miller. Don't forget to like and subscribe to his YouTube channel, and like and follow on your favorite podcast platform.